Thomas Morstead to kick off. New Orleans won the toss and elected to defer. Ted Ginn, who came over from San Francisco in his 7th year, having a good season. He's their run back specialist and also made a huge play at the end of the New England game to beat the Patriots a couple of weeks back. So Morstead ready to put it in the air. Crowd waving towels, and off we go from New Orleans with a touchback. And the Carolina Panthers will take over at the 20-yard line as you take a look at their starters.
Cam Newton, Auburn University, War Eagle.
D'Angelo Williams, the University of Memphis.
Mike Tolbert, Douglas County High School.
Steve Smith, Utah. Brandon LaFell, The Jungle.
Greg Olson, the U.
Jordan Gross, Utah.
Travell Wharton, South Carolina.
Ryan Khalil, University of Southern California.
Nate Chandler, UCLA.
Byron Bell, Greenville, Texas.
Panthers come in overall 24th offensively. Their running game, though, 9th, and a lot of that running game is the man taking the snap right now, Cam Newton. They start with a toss to Williams around the left side, and he is forced out of bounds after a gain of 7 by Malcolm Jenkins. So Cam Newton was the #1 overall pick in the 2011 draft. Played 1 year at Auburn, won the Heisman Trophy, led them to a national championship. Now in his 3rd season, maturing, playing very well, as Chris said, of late, and he's been their leading rusher in each of the Panthers' last 3 games. On 2nd and 3, he'll take the snap out of the pistol, realigns Tolbert to his left side, and they give the ball to Tolbert, and Tolbert is stuffed by Cameron Jordan after a very short gain. It'll be 3rd down and 2.
Well, they're going to have to stuff it inside. Cameron Jordan right here going to come up inside and play it tough right off the bat. Nice having a big fullback in there like a Mike Tolbert. He's every bit as much as tailback as the rest of these guys. Good receiver too, but now sets up a big 3rd down.
Tolbert came over from San Diego. Now they put Greg Olson, the tight end, into the backfield. And Newton's throw is caught for a 1st down by Brandon LaFell, who has really come on in his 4th year out of LSU. So they convert and have a 1st down at the 39-yard line.
You know, so much of the read option is not even the ability to run. They do these little fakes like they're going to run the read option, and it holds the safeties, holds the linebackers. That time the Saints up in sort of a pressure look, but that little half step of hesitation sometimes is all Cam needs to get the football to the outside.
From the 39-yard line. Again, this fake on the inside, and Ted Ginn was the intended receiver, and gambling on the play and almost coming down with it. Keenan Lewis, 2nd down and 10.
Keenan Lewis, the veteran, wasn't going for that little fake that time by Cam Newton. Watch him jump this one in a hurry. Not able to get the block there from Brandon LaFell. That's a big-time play from the veteran, Keenan Lewis. Big free agent pickup for them. Talk to some of these Saints players. They think he is one of the most significant newcomers to this defense.
Pick him up from the Pittsburgh Steelers. 3 interceptions this season, tops on the team. Nobody else has more than 1. 2nd and 10 from the 39. Newton in the pocket, throws over the middle. That's caught by the ageless wonder, Steve Smith. Short gain, 3rd and long upcoming. And let's take a look at the Saints on defense.
Akeem Hicks, University of Regina, Saskatchewan.
Broderick Bunkley, Florida State University.
Cameron Jordan, UC Berkeley.
Paris Harrelson, Tennessee.
David Hawthorne, TCU.
Curtis Lofton, Oklahoma.
Junior Gervais Gillette, Port-au-Prince, Haiti.
Corey White, Stanford University. Kenny Vaccaro, Texas.
Malcolm Jenkins, The Ohio State University.
Keenan Lewis, Oregon State University.
One key component there, missing Jabari Greer on injured reserve last couple of weeks, hurt. Here's Newton, he can take off. He's going to pick up the 1st down and a lot more as he's finally forced out of bounds at around the 40-yard line. Malcolm Jenkins riding him at the boundary after a gain of 19 yards.
How do you defend this?
I don't
6
know.
guys coming. I mean, that is 6. There should be every lane filled here. At the very least, you're going to go, okay, Cam Newton is not going to beat us running the football. Yes, he will. Then you have man coverage down the field. Cam knows when people are bringing pressure against him, that means man coverage. So if he breaks out and runs, there's really nobody there to try and pick him up. That's a huge first down.
He's averaging 5.5 yards a carry. When he scrambles, as he did there, he's averaging better than 10 yards a carry. He checks down to the left side, and the pass is caught for a very short gain by the tight end Greg Olsen, the former Chicago Bear, tackled there by Kenny Vaccaro, the rookie from Texas, and New Orleans' #1 pick. And there is Rob Ryan, fired last year after a couple of seasons in Dallas, has come in here. They had a record-setting defense for the wrong reasons. Last year gave up more yardage than any team in the history of the league. But they brought in Ryan, and they've had a tremendous improvement on that side of the ball. Second and 10. D'Angelo Williams is the back. He has it. Gain of about 1. D'Angelo Williams has had a very nice career, and he's had some fabulous days against the New Orleans Saints in particular. You go back to last year, he had 210 yards in the finale of the season and scored 2 touchdowns. 8th year back out of Memphis. They picked him #1 in 2006. Opening drive of the game, 3rd and 9. This will be the 9th play. They've had 4 runs and 4 passes. Newton dancing, fires, caught. That's going to be a first down, but a flag is down, our first of the game. Steve Smith makes the catch, and here's the first penalty call of the night. Walt Anderson is the referee. The crowd already responding to the fact that the Panthers are moving backward. It was a 3rd and 9.
It's going to be interesting to see if they call a pick play on this or not. There was clearly a pick by Brandon LaFell. Now, whether or not it's intentional or not, that's the argument at this point.
There is no foul for pass interference. The blocking occurred on the right side of the formation, and the pass was thrown over the middle. It's first down, Carolina.
I think that's the 4th game in a row in which the Panthers have been flagged, and they picked the flag up. Of course, the big one was in the New England game at the end.
Junior Gillette working against Jordan Gross, the longtime veteran on the outside. That's what allowed Cam Newton to come back to his 2nd and 3rd look. Had a little pick play going on the outside, and poor Keenan Lewis had no chance. Brandon LaFell got him good, and yet another big 3rd down conversion.
Olsen is on the sideline for the moment, needing some attention. The Panthers are 3 for 3 on 3rd down. Ben Hartsock comes in to spell Olsen, at least for a play or two. And they set up a screen, and that's incomplete, intended for D'Angelo Williams to the backside, 2nd and 10.
Pretty nice play by Junior Gillette that time. He sort of sniffed that thing out. Like D'Angelo Williams trying to sneak out of the backfield, but Gillette's been around just long enough. Here he is on the end of the line of scrimmage, 93. D'Angelo Williams sort of hangs with him, but he comes back over the top. Gillette's had an outstanding season, 6 sacks this year. Going opposite Cameron Jordan on the other side with 9.5 sacks. A very, very athletic pass rusher who likes these kinds of situations.
2nd and 10. And Cam's going to take it himself to the 20-yard line, just inside the 20. David Hawthorne making the tackle. So Newton puts them in a position for a 3rd and 4.
Have to kind of laugh. Last week, not very disciplined out here as they started slamming down inside against the Seattle read option. This time they stay disciplined, stay on the back, and Cam Newton just takes it for about 7 inside.
This is the 12th play of the drive. They've converted all 3 3rd downs. You've got Tolbert next to Newton in the backfield. And Cam under pressure. And he's going to go down to the 28-yard line. So the pocket collapses. And you've got Junior Galette doing the celebrating, and a field goal attempt forthcoming.
Watch the way Junior Galette works his hands here against Byron Bell. Just basically swats him by him and then just keeps hustling and gets around the edge. But regardless, for Cam Newton and Carolina, convert this field goal. That's a nice opening drive for them.
Graham Gano having a great year, 45-yard attempt here. And that kick is good. So with 8:42 to go in the quarter, after a 13-play drive, it's Carolina 3 and the Saints nothing. On this Sunday night, where the Saints come in 9-3, as do the Panthers. Travaris Cadet ready to run it back. There's Drew Brees awaiting his first snap of the night. And Graham Gano to kick off. After his 45-yard field goal has given the Panthers the early lead. This kick will be fielded about 4 yards in. Cadet will take a knee right there. Drew Brees. And the Saints will start from the 20 when we come back. First snap for the Saints from the 20-yard line. Pierre Thomas is the running back. And off play action. Brees in the pocket, climbing that pocket, and then gets tripped up from behind. Tackled by Charles Johnson, who's missed a couple of games. So Johnson back in the lineup. Brees, another great season. What else is new? By the time he is done, if he can stay healthy over the next 3 or 4 years, he's going to be at the top of a lot of very important charts, all-time charts. 42-20 as the starting quarterback here, but 3-4 against the Panthers, even though a couple of those games were in situations where they'd already clinched what they needed to clinch and were kind of playing out the string. 2nd and 6. Quick flip to Darren Sproles to the outside, and he gets hogtied by Mike Mitchell. They picked him up from Oakland in the offseason. It'll be 3rd down and 5.
Well, you see how fast the ball comes out of Drew Brees' hands, but this defense for Carolina goes even faster. I think that's the most impressive thing about them when I watch them on tape. That time, Mike Mitchell. But these linebackers can just fly. Luke Kuechly and Thomas Davis. They add Mike Mitchell on the back end. Great pass rushers on the outside with Greg Hardy and Charles Johnson. This is going to be a big challenge tonight for Drew Brees.
Number 2 in yards allowed are the Panthers, and number 1 in fewest points allowed. On 3rd and 5, the pass is incomplete. Over the middle, everybody, of course, wants a flag intended for Marcus Colston. And as was the case in Seattle on Monday night, the Saints start with a 3-and-out. 4th down.
Yep, they had trouble. Was it 4 out of their first 5? They went 3-and-out against Seattle. Going to do it here. And Melvin White, a little jersey tug and maybe a little contact. But, hey, this is sort of playoff football right now. And boys will be boys. That's the way it's going to be. You can just feel it. They're going to treat this one almost like a playoff game out here tonight.
Thomas Morstead to do the punting. Good. Deep kick fielded by Ted Ginn Jr. at the 20. He'll try to circle back. And he'll come around the right side, and Ted Ginn. Down the sideline he goes, and he gets wrestled out of bounds, and 3 flags come in. You all saw that with Thomas Morstead with an illegal tackle right there. Then Morstead is the guy who gets hurt on the play. So they'll tack on a few more after a 54-yard kick. A 29-yard run back by Ginn plus the penalty.
Return, personal foul, face mask number 6, the kicking team, 15-yard penalty, 1st down.
Now this was a tremendous punt. Pin Ted Ginn back in. Now you've got to be able to convert this. For them to not make a play back there is just killer. And really, give Morstead credit. If he doesn't make that face mask penalty, he may score. So you do what you got to do at that point, I guess.
And there's Ron Rivera, who wanted the flag. I think he wants Morstead thrown out of the game.
This thing is starting well, though, for Carolina. How many times have we been in here? It seems like by this point in the first quarter, the game's over.
The last time we were here, it happened against Dallas a month ago. The ball is at the 32-yard line. They start with D'Angelo Williams with a big hole through the middle and a gain of 9 yards. Jenkins able to make the stop. 7 minutes to go in the quarter, and thus far all Carolina.
Little power. They're not afraid to go big. Got Travell Wharton coming around. Hartsock's going to come up and lead through. They feel like that they can just go big boy football and go right up the gut against this New Orleans Saints defense that has been much, much better inside and stopping the run than obviously than what they were a season ago.
Second and about 1.5 yards from the 23. And the inside handoff, that'll net a first down. Williams picking up a couple. Last year in the 2 games against the Saints, running that read option, 7 keepers for 49 yards, so 7 yards per toe, 25 handoffs, almost 200 yards, and 8 for 11 passing. So he really gave them trouble last year, and here he is again.
It's such an interesting play. I used to run that in college as a quarterback, and having to decide, and the running back not knowing if he's going to get the ball or not. Sometimes they want to grab it from your hands, and it's up to the quarterback to be strong enough to pull it out if he wants to.
You had a few fumbles, didn't you?
Oh, I was terrible at it.
From the 21-yard line. Here's Williams again, and this time the defense stiffens. They stop him after a gain of 1. Curtis Lofton, picked up a couple of years ago from Atlanta, making the tackle.
Yeah, and he really has become the leader of this defense, leading tackler on his respective teams now for 4 straight years, whether it be Atlanta or here. Just great instincts. He and David Hawthorne has really formed a tremendous team inside. And Curtis talking to us about being recruited here and everybody yelling "Who-dat" at him as a Falcon. He was kind of offended by it. He said, "What do I say back?" And he said, "Just sign. That's all you got to do. Just sign."
Second and 9. Off the fake again. Newton sidesteps, then throws, buys time, and it's caught on the outside by Ginn. He's tackled at the 17 by Kenny Vaccaro, and that's going to set up a 3rd and 5.
It's always fun for me to watch these young quarterbacks mature. You know, you've got Cam Newton just standing in the pocket, little subtle movements within there, going to 2nd and 3rd receivers now. He said, you know, I can't hang on that. I'm a young quarterback anymore. This is my 3rd year. I should be ready, and he is.
Yeah, he's talking about a big difference between years 2 and 3 as opposed to your rookie year to your 2nd year. Mike Tolbert is the back. 3rd down and 6. The play clock is down to 3. And they give it to Tolbert, and Tolbert's going to work his way to the 10 and a first down. Kenny Vaccaro makes the tackle, but that little back move that he made at the end of the play, able to net that first down.
4 safeties in the game that time, and they're going to come up on one of them right here, Roman Harper. Anytime Cam gets up to the line of scrimmage and he sees all those safeties in the game, well, he's going to take his 40-pound fullback, Mike Tolbert, and just hammer it right at them. It's one of the problems the Saints have had. 2 key injuries to key corners, Jabari Greer and Patrick Robinson. So they're having to play their safeties now in a lot more man coverage.
1st and goal from the 10-yard line. Here goes Cam. And what a great play because he had blocking. Malcolm Jenkins reading it perfectly, able to work his way through the blockers and get there and stop him back to the line of scrimmage. 2nd and goal.
What a play by Malcolm Jenkins. Here we go. Right here he is making the call. Watch him split these blockers, get right inside Tolbert, and just flip Cam Newton upside down. That was fantastic.
Cam had a convoy, and Jenkins had other ideas. The ball is at the 12. It's 2nd down and goal. 3 minutes to go in the opening quarter. Carolina up 3-zip. To the outside, the pass is caught by Tolbert. He gets spun out of bounds by Hawthorne. And that'll make it 3rd down and goal at the 6-yard line. And on these 2 Carolina drives right now, they're 4 of 5 on 3rd down conversions.
Kind of joking around with Ron Rivera a little bit about Mike Tolbert. I said, it's nice having a guard in the backfield, huh? And he started laughing. And then I went out to practice, And I watch him make one of the most brilliant catches I've seen all year. I mean, this guy can run it. He's quick, great hands, and a tremendous blocker back there.
3rd and goal from the 6. Newton throwing way too high, intended for Greg Olsen. So a key stop for the Saints. The Carolina Panthers have had the ball for 20 plays, New Orleans for 3, but it figures to only be 6-0 after a chip shot field goal here.
One way to deal with speed on the outside, just knock it down. You're not very fast sitting on your backside, and good job there being aggressive on the outside by the Saints.
So Graham Gano, who made a 45-yarder, this one from 24 yards away. Fred Nortman to put it down. And so both drives end in field goals. 1:56 left in the quarter. 6-0 Panthers. Mercedes-Benz Superdome, home of the New Orleans Saints since the mid-70s. So much a part of the fabric of this city, especially in recent years with Breeze and Peyton coming aboard in 2006. A lot of success. Kickoff goes through the end zone off the foot of Gano. And so Breeze and his gang come back at the 20 when we come back to the Superdome. The Panther defense has just been tremendous. Fewest points allowed, second in yards allowed, third in third down conversions allowed, and red zone touchdown percentage, they're first right there. And there is Sean McDermott, who came here as the defensive coordinator after kind of a messy departure in Philadelphia under Andy Reid 3 or 4 years back. Came here with Ron Rivera and has done a really great job. The ball at the 20, and Breeze hit as he throws. The pass is incomplete. Gives us a chance to take a look at the Saints offense.
Drew Brees, Purdue Boilermaker. Pierre Thomas, Illinois.
Jedediah Gabriel Collins, Washington State.
Marcus Colston, Hofstra University.
Kenny Stills, University of Oklahoma.
Jimmy Graham, VU.
Charles Brown, USC. Ben Grubbs, Auburn University.
Brian Della Puente, Cal Berkeley.
Jari Evans, Bloomsburg University.
Zach Streif, Northwestern.
And right now Mark Ingram comes in as the running back, and Ingram will get tackled after a gain of 1. 3rd and 9 upcoming as we meet the Panther defense.
Charles Johnson, Hawkinsville High School.
Colin Cole, Iowa.
Starla Tulele, University of Utah.
Kraken, Hogwarts.
Thomas Davis, D, University of Georgia.
Luke Kuechly, Boston College.
Chase Blackburn, Akron.
Captain Munley, the real USC, Gamecocks.
Quentin Michael, Willamette High School.
Mike Mitchell, Ohio University.
Drayton Florence, Tuskegee University.
Really a great front seven, and they've had to paste and glue that secondary together, but it's all worked. 3rd down and 9. And Breeze throwing, and it will be caught by Marcus Colston, who leaps to get it and is out of bounds at the 42-yard line. So the Saints get a first down on a 21-yard pickup with about a minute to go in the quarter.
Yeah, it's really one of the few times that these Saints receivers have gotten a release off the ball. So far, Carolina's been doing a great job at getting up in their face and jamming them and throwing off the timing for Drew Brees. That time they let him run, and they pay the price for it.
Ball at the 42-yard line. Breeze this time out of the pistol. And to the outside. And Darren Sproles is inside the 40. And they'll chase him out of bounds, but Darren Sproles, who has been such a huge part of what they do offensively, running it and catching it, and that's good for 38 yards on the ground.
On the outside, Ben Watson with a good play, but it was really Robert Meacham who came down with a crackback block from the outside and got that block right there that established the corner. And then it's Darren Sproles, who always has such a big play in these games.
Set up a screen. Thomas, and sifting through to make the tackle is K'Wan Short, the rookie out of Purdue, and that's going to take us to the end of the quarter. With the Saints on the move, end of one, 6-0, Carolina. And Sunday Night Football continues after these messages. From the Panther 18-yard line. And the pass is broken up in the end zone. He tried to get it to Lance Moore, and Mike Mitchell got there simultaneously with the ball. 3rd and 8.
Boy, Mike Mitchell has just meant so much to this defense on the back end. 4 interceptions already, comes up and makes really a touchdown saving play there. Awfully tough to get the ball in the end zone against the Carolina Panthers, especially in the first half. Just 2 touchdowns in the first half all season, only 12 for the year.
Meanwhile, Jimmy Graham, the tight end, is their leading receiver. He has not even been targeted tonight. Comes off the left side this time, and Breeze goes to Moore, and Moore will take the ball to about the 10. Thomas Davis makes the tackle. The Panthers looking over to the sideline, and it is a first down right at the 10-yard line. So first down and goal.
One of the problems with playing the Tampa 2 defense is the middle linebacker Luke Kuechly has to cover the middle of the field back in here. And so people tend to sneak receivers inside there, and because he has to get such depth to cover that tight end, that opening is there. Nice job by Lance Moore diving for the first down.
Thomas. And Pierre Thomas gets about half the distance, taking it to the 5-yard line. It'll be second down and goal. Number 1 draft choice last year was Luke Kuechly out of Boston College. Had a tremendous rookie year and is having a great second season as well.
No question about it. This Carolina defense turned around when they moved him from the weak outside linebacker into the middle linebacker. You can go back and look at the numbers. They just took off from there, and they have not looked back since. One of the best defenses in the entire league right now.
Second down and goal. Breeze to the right side for the touchdown to Marcus Colston. yards, 9 plays. Colston making a big cash on the 3rd down play. 38-yard run by Sproles, and it's paid off here.
Breeze wanted to go to Jimmy Graham on the outside, wasn't there. Comes back through his progressions. His 3rd look ends up with a touchdown pass to Colston. There's 1, there's 2, nope, don't like it. Comes back. You see him do it every day in practice, all the way through every progression in his read.
3rd time is the charm. Partly for the point after. And the Saints have the lead 7-6. Another record for Drew Brees, and he already has a bunch of them. 30th TD pass this season. That's 6 straight years with 30 or more. Longest streak in the history of the league. He had been tied with Brett Favre at 5 years, and here it is. Number 30 on the season, which gives them the lead at 7-6.
He did it with his intelligence and his discipline, as he's done so many.
Morstead's kick results in a touchback. A minute and a half into the 2nd quarter in the battle for first place in the NFC South. A 1-point lead for the Saints. New Orleans on a Sunday night. Saints up by a point. Panthers start the drive from the 20-yard line. Fake toss, and then the handoff goes to D'Angelo Williams right through the middle for a gain of 5. 2nd and 5.
Right behind Ryan Khalil, one of the best centers in the game, no question about it. Not only a guy right there, not only a guy just works at it so hard, makes all the calls, but so athletic. You'll see him pull out from the center position and loop around and get linebackers that they just can't block otherwise. He's been a real key to their running game.
Missed 11 games last year with a foot injury. to Williams, swinging to the left side. Turns the corner, picks up a first down. D'Angelo to the 31-yard line. So Williams, we mentioned before, so many big days against the Saints. 7 carries, 32 yards.
You know, it was interesting. We were talking with Ron Rivera the other day, and he said you can't kick field goals against this team and win. And here they had 2 great drives right down the field, ended up kicking 2 field goals, and they're behind 7-6. I mean, that's what happens when you don't score touchdowns against the Saints.
Well, he said he had an epiphany early in the season when he lost a game in Buffalo when he played it too conservative. From the 32-yard line, they give it to Williams, and of course, once they lost that game, he said, I had that epiphany. And then he started to gamble on almost every play, you know, when you had a situation where you could have kicked a field goal or gone for it on 4th down, which led to the name Riverboat Ron.
Riverboat Ron, who would have ever figured that for him, but it's really worked. It's nice, though, when you have a defense that can back you up. So if you don't convert it, you don't have to worry so much about him going in the end zone the other way. And he's been willing to take chances, and it's really built the confidence of this team.
2nd down and 7, we see Jonathan Stewart in the game. He and Williams, formerly known as double trouble. Stewart now flanks to the right. Blitz coming, and over the middle, it's caught by Greg Olsen, the tight end, for a first down. He's tackled by Lofton. So Ryan sends them, and Newton gets rid of it over the middle for a first down. Gain of 13.
Good job realizing that when all that pressure's coming, there's going to be big gaps. A little hot read there by Olsen just over the middle. Remember, he came from Chicago, and when Mike Martz went in there, Mike Martz doesn't involve the tight ends a whole lot in that offense. And so they said, okay, he's expendable. We'll get something good back for him. And what a gift it's been for Carolina. 5 touchdowns every year since he's been here, I think.
First down from the 49. And to the outside, and that's busted up. Steve Smith gets taken down. Keenan Lewis reading it perfectly, getting around what would have been a block and tackling him for loss.
That's the 2nd time now we've seen Keenan Lewis and Brandon LaFell going at it. I really think, though, Steve Smith has to help his partner here. You've got to catch that coming back towards the quarterback and go inside that block. He's expecting to kick him out, and you're supposed to loop back underneath.
Loss of 3. 2nd and 13. Newton flushed out. Over the middle. Caught just over the 50 by Steve Smith. Forward progress will take him to the New Orleans 49-yard line. Set up a 3rd down and about 6.
Well, Steve Smith, the 13-year vet, makes the catch, and the 11-year vet on the other side makes sure he had time to catch that ball. Jordan Gross doing a good job against Gillette to at least set up now a 3rd down and about 5. And the hard part here is that you always have to factor in Cam Newton running the ball. It almost takes a defender out of your defense.
He's already carried 3 times for 23 yards. In the pocket, flushed out again. Buying time. Then the open man to the right side is Olsen, but Olsen's going to be tackled short of the first down. Well, short of it. Tackled, in fact, at the line of scrimmage. White is there, so Ryan's defense holds, and the Panthers will punt.
Well, just tremendous coverage down the field all over, but it was Kenny Vaccaro on the other side that basically saved the day. That one looked like it might be going for something, didn't it, Al? Watch all the coverage on this side, had everything bottled up. Cam had to start scrambling around, and then it was Vaccaro on the backside that saved it with a big tackle.
Here is Brad Nortman's first punt of the night. Nose down. Backspin on it. Fair caught at the 13-yard line by Darren Sproles. 8.5 to go in the half. 7-6, home team.
One of the things I love watching with Drew Brees is the frenetic energy he brings to every game, but every practice as well. Here's Brees. He's going to start looking to the right, look back for Jimmy Graham on the backside, doesn't like it, comes back, feet moving all the time, fires a shot in there for the touchdown. You could see his eyes just moving all over the place, but his feet going right perfectly with it. And when you watch him in practice or you watch him in pregame warm-ups, he's rehearsing that. Every time he makes a throw, then you'll see him point to the next 3 guys that he could have thrown it to, because mentally he wants to stay on top of where they are too.
And what do you call it, what he does before the game, that pregame pep talk he gives?
I don't know. That's like, he got that from the Army, I think.
From the 14, Breeze throws and rifles it into the arms of Marcus Colston. We've seen this a bunch of times, and here's what he does in pregame.
Yeah, he kind of goes through, and all right, there he goes looking around, but now he's going to rehearse, all right, where would I have gone next, and just stays on top of it. Mentally, he is practicing reps every single time so that he can remember and react in the game the way that he would in practice.
The pass to Colston was good for 13 yards. Breeze has started 6 of his first 9 for 51 yards. The running back is Mark Ingram. They flare him out to the left. The pass is caught by Jimmy Graham, the great tight end, to the 35-yard line. Graham is their leading receiver. One of the interesting things about the Saints, when you look at their offense, only a third of Breeze's passes this year have been caught by wide receivers. He loves to go to the tight ends, and of course that means Jimmy Graham with 69 grabs, and the running backs, and in good measure that means Sproles. 2nd and 2. And through the middle goes Mark Ingram to the 38-yard line for a first down. Up until last year, he would go to the wide receivers about half the time, and the running backs about a third of the time. That's 06 through 12, and then this season, as you can see, to wide receivers, the fewest in terms of percentage of the regular quarterbacks in the league, and 40% to the running backs and 27% to the tight ends, mainly, of course, Graham. And they get a flag, which means it's a free play for Breeze, but he can't cash in on that. It'll be offside against Carolina.
So late flag down the middle as well here, so it's not just the offsides we'll be dealing with here.
Walt Anderson will give us the call, or calls. And clearly now discussing the options with Sean Payton.
There are 2 fouls, both by the defense. Holding number 41 of the defense. That penalty is declined. Offside, number 93 of the defense. That penalty is accepted. It'll be a 5-yard penalty, and it'll be 1st and 5.
The options were the same. 5-yard penalty, automatic first down. Which one do you want?
Which 5 yards do you want? Here we go. Let's break this down a little while. On the other side, you've got Chase Blackburn and Captain Munnerlin, and that's one way you just take care of Colston right there. Just give him a little shot. Both these teams really want to throw the other quarterback off rhythm by being physical at the line of scrimmage with these receivers.
From the 44, Breeze slides to his left, guns it to the 44 to Kenny Stills, and the flag comes in at the end of the play. Kenny Stills, rookie out of Oklahoma, picked in the 5th round. He's made a lot of big plays this season.
Yeah, it looked like Drayton Florence, who used to be Drew Brees' teammate in San Diego, may have grabbed Stills there coming out of the break. Man coverage and
Pass interference, number 29, defense. The penalty is declined. The result of the play is a completed pass, 1st down.
Great job by Kenny Stills up here, just staying with this despite the fact that he got held on the play, make a diving catch and get a few more balls thrown your way. One of the leading receivers in the league as far as yards per catch is concerned. He's been making big plays all season long, over 20 yards a catch.
And he scored 4 touchdowns as well, as the pass is caught inside the 25-yard line by Benjamin Watson, the number 2 tight end.
Well, Luke Kuechly's going to come on a blitz and get picked up by Mark Ingram. One of the reasons you like having the bigger backs back there in the backfield, and that's going to give Drew Brees just enough time to sneak that into Ben Watson. You want to do so much to defend Jimmy Graham and Pierre Thomas and Darren Sproles, and then when the Ben Watson start catching balls, that's tough.
Running back is Thomas. End around, and Robert Meacham to the 19-yard line. Almost got tackled about 6 yards in the backfield, but Meacham able to turn the corner and pick up a gain of 4.
Thomas Davis was coming like a bullet around the corner there. He just couldn't decide who to hit. Here he comes. He's got a free shot at anybody he wants, and he kind of went in between them all. Couldn't find the football. Guys like that, they just can't make up their mind, and usually they opt for the quarterback if they get a choice, but that one could have been hit 10 yards deep in the backfield.
Saints take a timeout with 5 minutes to go in the half. So the New Orleans Saints took a timeout. It's 2nd down and 6, 5:05 remaining in the first half. Pierre Thomas is the running back. And Breeze will hand the ball off to Thomas. And Thomas will get tackled at the 15-yard line. Big 3rd down and a deuce coming up. Chase Blackburn making the tackle.
I'll tell you, it's been a nice job so far by this New Orleans Saints offensive line. Maybe a little tip of the cap to Zach Strief. Came back off an ankle injury, the right tackle, number 64. And when they're able to get a little bit of a running game going, you know what Drew Brees can do throwing the football, and he's only been hit twice so far in this game, no sacks.
3rd down and 2. Toss back, taken around the outside is Kyrie Robinson, and that's his first carry of the night. A rookie. Skirmish at the end of the play as Robinson's able to pick up the first down. And so signals.
The old flip 90 play, make you think you're going hard dive inside. Watch Chase Blackburn comes and just, there's no way he's going to get there. Chase Blackburn's come over from the Giants and really helped this football team, but he was going a little too hard after Drew Brees on that one.
A lot of formations, a lot of personnel groupings, so Peyton calls Robinson's number for the first time on a 3rd and 2. Now Ingram is the back. A roll by Brees and the pass incomplete. Jimmy Graham targeted on that one. It'll be 2nd down and goal.
Boy, Jimmy Graham is having another huge year this year. 12 touchdowns already. Has at least a shot, I would say, that Rob Gronkowski's record of 17 is really on pace, just slightly below, going after his yardage record as well. So he's been doing it all year. A little bit of an injured foot, but keeps hanging in out there.
Second down and goal from the 9. Send 5 receivers out, and the pass is incomplete. And here comes the flag. The Sproles looks around, and then Mike Mitchell says, come on.
Well, in fairness, if I had to.
Pass interference, number 21, defense. First down.
No doubt about that one. But if I had to cover Darren Sproles, I think I might cheat a little bit too. You give Darren Sproles a 2-way go on you, he's almost impossible. We saw a lot in practice where they were kind of bracketing Darren Sproles in that situation. Left Mitchell one-on-one alone that time.
1st and goal. Fake to Ingram. Brees steps up, throws, and it is caught, but there's a flag down. Marcus Colston, for the moment, is into the end zone. Pending.
Number 66, offense. 10-yard penalty. Still first down.
Bring it back. That's Ben Grubbs negating the touchdown.
Great move by Greg Hardy. Coming inside, and really Grubbs had no choice whatsoever. Going to loop back inside here, and when he split him, Grubbs had to grab him to keep him off his quarterback. I'll tell you, Greg Hardy's going to be a guy that's going to make a lot of money. They paid Charles Johnson already. His contract year is coming up. high energy, unblockable guy. I really like him as a player.
19 offensive holding penalties for the Saints. Hardy, meanwhile, a 6th-round pick back in 2010. First and goal from the 14 as Breeze rolls and then throws to the backside to Thomas. And he is tackled by the neck by Thomas Davis. Thomas Davis, a guy who's had 3 ACL surgeries, making the hit here, 2nd and goal.
You would never know it from this one. Watch Thomas Davis. 3 knee surgeries later, watch him run. He is so explosive. When you put on the tape of this team, people are flying all over the field, but for him to come back, he went into Dr. Andrews and said, Dr. Andrews, my career's over. Can you get me ready for the rest of my life with this last surgery? And Dr. Andrews said, how about if I get you ready to play some more football? It's exactly what he did, and here he is.
On 2nd and goal, Breeze to the end zone, and it is caught. Marcus Colston for the touchdown. The Carolina Panthers had given up 2 first-half touchdowns in their first 12 games, and the Saints are into the end zone for the 2nd time in this one.
Kuechly's going to try and get back underneath this thing, and Marcus Colston is just like Jimmy Graham. I mean, basically, they play basketball on the goal line. Have these 2 huge receivers, big, strong hands. Pick your poison. You're going to go over and play Jimmy Graham on one side. Good luck with Marcus Colston on the other.
Colston with his 2nd touchdown catch of the night. Breeze now has 31 touchdown passes on the year. 2:44 left in the opening half. 14-6 Saints. New Orleans on this Sunday night. 8th night of December, 14-6. After the Panthers have taken a 6-0 lead, and Carolina will take the ball at the 20-yard line. Cam Newton, some of the things he's done. First player with 50 or more TD passes and 25 or more TD runs in a 3-year span. TD pass and a touchdown run in 20 of his first 44 games, which is pretty interesting when you look at guys like that. He's had more than Cunningham, McNair, and Garcia in their entire careers. And here's a guy who's played 2 3/4 seasons.
Well, here's where you need Superman to make a drive for you. He's been doing it this season. Need one now.
And they start with Williams. Big game, of course, in the NFC South. We flexed into this one. You know, you look at this division. When the season started, Atlanta went to the NFC Championship game last year. They were probably favored. Peyton's coming back from the suspension. You knew New Orleans would be pretty good. Carolina, you didn't know what they would be. But here we are.
Yeah, I think Ron Rivera had a good idea. He's been confident all along, hasn't he?
Oh, and then it's dropped by Brandon LaFell, who would have had a first down. Instead, it's going to be 3rd down and 8. And they don't want to give the ball back to Breeze again with too much time, because New Orleans is also going to get the 2nd half kickoff as well.
I mean, this momentum has really turned. The Saints have done what they wanted to do, holding them to field goals. The Saints are scoring touchdowns on the other side. Big 3rd down right here.
And Newton's going to go down. Cameron Jordan breaks through, sheds the block, and buries him. And Rob Ryan loves that.
Well, Cam Newton has to take some responsibility for this one. Cameron Jordan's going to come around the edge here. But really, Byron Bell does what he does. Supposed to push him to the outside, around the quarterback. It's up to Cam to step up, not back. He backs up into that sack. That's his responsibility. Good bump and run, man-to-man coverage down the field. Force Cam Newton to hold the ball.
And the Saints take a timeout on defense on the front side of the 2-minute warning. So Breeze will have, he might as well have a month when he gets the ball. It's 4th and 20.
Now the time of possession was about 11-1 to start this game, and since then it feels like Drew Brees has had the ball the whole time.
Opening quarter belonging to Carolina. In the second quarter, the Saints. Orban gets the kick away, and it's a beauty. Fielded to the 34-yard line by Sproles. Flag is down. Sproles brings the ball back to the 50-yard line. 56-yard punt, 15-yard return, but
during the kick, holding number 29 receiving team. It's a 10-yard penalty from the end of the kick. First down, New Orleans.
Instead of having the ball at the 50-yard line, that penalty going to move them all the way back to the 24. They have one timeout, and we'll see the 2-minute warning on the other side of this play.
There's the Rob Ryan look-alike over there, and I asked him about the guys wearing his wigs and looking like him in there, and he said, you know, I used to be kind of the funny-looking guy around town. He said, but people in New Orleans, they're a lot stranger looking than I am.
He's normal.
Yeah, he kind of likes it. He really appreciates how much this town's embraced him and his family.
Breeze, great protection, open at the 45. Lance Moore. Mike Mitchell makes the tackle. They'll spot the ball at the 45, and that's the 2-minute warning, which comes with 1:55 remaining in the half. Saints with the ball and an 8-point lead in the battle for first in the NFC South. As Breeze throws, and the pass is caught by Marcus Colston. He of the 2 touchdown receptions tonight. So Colston having a huge first half. 2 TDs, 5 catches, 73 yards.
Well, that time Drayton Florence was working so hard trying to jam the receiver on the outside. He didn't drop back into his coverage.
That was good for 18. Breeze, screen set up with Sproles. Reads the blocking perfectly. Takes the ball to the 16-yard line. Jari Evans leading the charge with a good block. First down.
Well, you think as a corner you do a good job setting a wall out here on the outside, forcing Sproles back to the inside. Unfortunately, there was no support in there. And typically when you watch Carolina, they're flying around so fast, somebody's there to hit him hard. Just not happening here. And Cam Newton, you want to defend him? Leave him sitting over there with a towel on his head.
From the 16. To the outside, and a good tackle is made in the open field. Graham makes the catch, and Thomas Davis makes sure he goes nowhere.
Yeah, they're starting to bring pressure now. That time coming off the edge was Captain Munnerlyn, and you know that Ron Rivera, Sean McDermott, they were trained by Jim Johnson in Philadelphia. You start getting down inside the 20-yard line, you're going to see some pressure.
And Rivera also, as a member of the Bears, trained by Buddy Ryan, Rob's dad, in his playing days. As Breeze throws, and it's caught for a first down as Lance Moore makes the grab and gets tackled there. And Breeze says, we got plenty of time, plenty of time.
Such a big thing to have Zach Strief back. He hurt his ankle at the end of the game against Seattle, and I was like, uh-oh. And then on the other side, Greg Hardy is getting a lot of attention. They're just going to mush him into the ground. But boy, it just, when the Saints get it rolling, it just doesn't take any time at all, does it? It just seems like they just explode in the first half of games.
And they've run 5 plays in a minute and a half. Breeze slowing the clock down here. And keeps it. And now he's going to get taken down at the line of scrimmage by Charles Johnson. And the Saints are going to take their 3rd and final timeout. Interesting is that Breeze, with a 1-minute mark, you'd see him slow it down. They have plenty of time. They did. They had 1 timeout, but they took a lot of time. And now they have no timeouts and 22 seconds. So it's a different dynamic at this point.
Well, the only thing that happens now is you sort of take the running game away. So now you're going to put the ball in the hands of Drew Brees, and I'm not sure any Saints fan is going to feel too badly about that. But now Carolina has a chance to dial up pressure, because if you get a sack on Brees, you may be able to run out the clock.
Second and goal. Breeze stepping up, throwing, caught, touchdown, Jimmy Graham. They move Graham into the inside slot position, then he cuts across the field, slam dunk, and a third touchdown in the quarter for Drew Brees.
Well, Luke Kuechly was sitting there waiting for him and tried to get physical rather than run with him. Going to come in here and watch Kuechly right over the ball, 59, try and slam him, but Graham slides inside, and then there's no way for Kuechly to catch up.
Garrett Hartley for the point after. Well, for Drew Brees, I think he's thinking, we're not in Seattle anymore, Toto. 21-6. Offense prevailing. That's the 88th touchdown today. Most all-time on one day in the history of the National Football League. I think half of them came in the last 2 minutes of Minnesota-Baltimore.
I've never seen anything like that game. That was just crazy. But you know, you consider Carolina and their great defense. They only gave up 2 first-half touchdowns all year and 3 here in the first half in New Orleans.
So the Saints get on a big second quarter roll, 21 unanswered points, and they're going to get the ball to start the second half. 18 seconds remaining in the first half, and Ted Ginn looking for an opportunity to run one back. Morstead sending it down to him, and Ginn is going to take a knee.
We've talked about all the great things Drew Brees can do, but anticipation may be the best. Watch him make this throw. Jimmy Graham, you can see his name on the back of his jersey. So you know that he has to know that Jimmy Graham's about to turn around and look for the ball, but no fear whatsoever to fit that in. What do you have, 147 yards passing for the game last week? First time in like 43 games, something that he had thrown for under 200 yards, and already lighting it up here tonight.
Almost 3 seasons. That streak snapped in Seattle. Now Newton is going to give the ball to Williams. And basically just going to run out the clock here in the first half. So it started brilliantly for Carolina. They looked good in the opening quarter, even though they were thwarted, had to set up a field goals. And then Rivera's team gives up 21 unanswered points, all in the second quarter. And the Saints get the ball to start the third quarter. Graham Gano's kick is 5 yards deep, and Cadet's going to come out with it. He gets up to the 16-yard line, and we go to Michelle.
Well, Ron Rivera just told me he's disappointed with the way his defense is letting the Saints wide receivers off the line cleanly. He said, we're not jamming, we're rerouting them, and they're getting clean looks at the football. We've got to force a 3-and-out here to start the second half. As for Sean Payton, he likes the tempo of his offense. He thinks that's helping with the pass protection, and he likes the way his tight ends are handling the edges, keeping Drew Brees upright.
Point well taken, Michelle, especially the wideouts for the Saints and what they've been able to do tonight. Colston with 2 touchdown catches. The tight end Graham with 1. Brees is 17 of 21 for 183. Fake toss. And then he throws, and there's a flag thrown as Robert Meacham, for the moment, is out to the 23-yard line. And we'll get the call from Walt Anderson. And Peyton's going to have the option here of taking the play or the penalty. The play gains 7 yards.
Yeah, it looks like Charles Johnson held Meacham trying to get across the formation there.
Holding number 95 defense. That penalty is declined. New Orleans has elected the result of the play. It'll be 2nd and 3.
That's pretty interesting. You're giving up an automatic first down for a 2nd and 3.
I don't agree with that.
I'm a little baffled, but what else is new?
But what difference does it make? They just
right. What does it matter? But that's one of the rare times you'll see a coach give away a first down to take a 2nd and 3, and the handoff goes to Pierre Thomas, and now you've got a 3rd down.
It does matter.
2.5.
Yeah, well, you don't win 8 games in a row and end up with a 9-3 mark without being pretty good on the defensive side, and that's how they've done it. And you can see already a little different tone here coming out. But just like they did to start the first half, they need a 3-and-out, just like Ron Rivera was talking about. They need something to restore their pride and their energy here.
3rd down and 4 at the 22-yard line. And Breeze throws, and that is incomplete. And there is no flag, and Captain Munlin breaks it up. And so you go back to the option. I can't think of a time when I've seen a coach not take a first down, instead make it 2nd down and 3.
I can't even give you a decent explanation for that decision. I mean, at 3 yards, I guess the way their offense is playing, you figure you're going to get it. But why not go back? I mean, it's only a 2-yard difference. Take first down. Why would you do that?
Well, the Panthers say thank you very much. So they stop him on the first series here, and Morstead to punt. Ted Ginn back at his own 25-yard line. And won't have a chance to run it back as it's angled out of bounds at roughly the 30. Newton going to work, down by 15. In commercial, there was Sean Payton going over things with Walt Anderson. We were thinking that maybe he was talking about, hey, you didn't explain it to me properly, but instead he was, as we now understand it, complaining about what should have been interference on Graham. In any event, Carolina has the ball at the 30-yard line. The running back is Jonathan Stewart. And Newton throws, and most of his throws have been very short tosses tonight. Olsen makes the catch. It's a gain of about 3.
You know, you just wonder whether or not Sean Payton may have been distracted by the argument and not fully thought out what was happening with the penalty he actually was dealing with there. You know, may not have realized, you know, may have thought it was 2nd and 1, you know, just got distracted. I don't know.
Yep. Inquiring minds want to know. Not us, though. 2nd down and 7. And through the middle with a big hole and bursting through it is Jonathan Stewart out to the 49-yard line. 6th-year guy out of Oregon, their #1 pick in 08.
Unbalanced line here. They're going to take their tackle and move him over here and then pull through to get 4 offensive linemen and a fullback on the right side, and that's what popped that one wide open in the middle. And that's really what Carolina needs to get back to. They need to get back to grinding a little bit here.
That's a gain of 16. Over the middle, short pass again, caught by Stewart, and Stewart's given them a little energy here to start the second half. Played very sparingly in the opening half. Gain of 16 there.
Well, if Carolina's going to get back in this thing, Jordan Gross is going to have to be able to handle Junior Gillette on the outside. He's the veteran. He's their best player out there along with Ryan Khalil. That time he got it done. If they can slide the line, help all the other linemen going the other way, and he can handle that matchup with Junior Gillette, it gives him a chance to stand back and throw the ball.
Yeah, Newton, everything is short tonight. 12 of 16, 72 yards. He's averaging about 4.5 yards per pass. And they give it to Williams, and he gets tackled at about the line of scrimmage. Rob Ryan, whose brother Rex won today. They beat Oakland, did the Jets.
You got to give the Jets a little credit. Remember at the beginning of the year, everybody was saying the Jets may not win 2 or 3 games all year, and they've been hanging in there pretty tough this year. This Saints defense, though, what a difference a year makes, huh? They were record-breaking in how poor they were last year, and Rob Ryan's come in here and re-energized the bunch.
Yeah, we're giving up about 440 yards a game last season. About 110 yards every quarter. 2nd and 9. And Newton's going to air this one out deep and incomplete. Good coverage that time. It was Olsen going down the field. Brandon LaFell was in that neighborhood too. It's third down.
Yeah, this is what Seattle tried to do last week. Every time they brought pressure inside, they took their shot down the field. But that time it was the corner, Corey White, on the tight end. So that's not the matchup you probably want to take.
We're working on Jonathan Stewart, so he had that 16-yard run and a 16-yard reception and has to come out of the game. Tolbert in there in the backfield, and he gets extra protection right now on third down and 9. And Newton under pressure, a little toss, and that's only a very minimal gain to Greg Olsen as he shovels one to Olsen, who gets hit by Vaccaro and is stopped at the 31-yard line, setting up a long field goal attempt.
Give Cam Newton some credit this time. He helps. This time the pass rusher comes around the edge. He does what he's supposed to do, steps up and just gives it a little flick in there. And so Riverboat Ron decides not to go for it on 4th and 5 and try a long field goal.
So Gano, a 49-yard attempt. Norton to hold it. And Gano's kick is wide to the right. He misses it. Gives the Saints the ball at the 39, up by 15. And Breeze now lines up in the pistol from the 39-yard line. A toss out in the flat here to Darren Sproles, who takes it to the 41. Home and road, what a difference, huh? Since 2011, and of course Sean was gone for all of 12. 8-6 on the road, 14-0 under the roof here, 38 points per game.
But those are good numbers.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, there's nothing wrong with those numbers at all. I mean, 400 yards of offense. It's not like they're terrible on the road. They just had a tough time in Seattle.
A place they may visit again before.
A lot of people may be visiting Seattle.
And Collins, the fullback, makes the catch. And gets bumper card down at the 45-yard line. 9.5 to go in the third.
Well, we've seen Luke Kuechly with this act before right here. I tell you, they close so fast on the ball. I think it's really the reason they've had such a great year. It's just a high-energy bunch. Luke Kuechly, out of the greater Cincinnati area, had a chance to see him play in high school. He was great then. Boston College, great there. And now his rookie of the year a season ago, and probably on his way back to the Pro Bowl this year.
3rd and 4. And Breeze throws, and that is caught. Jimmy Graham, despite good tight coverage. Breeze threads it. Monolan was blitzing. It's a gain of 15.
Aren't many tight ends that go up against a cornerback and you say, I'll take that matchup. Jimmy Graham, and it's amazing the timing. I mean, just the minute he snaps his head around, the ball is right there. And as a receiver, sometimes it's so hard to just find the football, you know. And Drew Brees is not a 6'5" quarterback where you easily see it coming out. Just those soft hands reach down and makes it look easy.
7 straight 4,000-yard season for him. Longest streak in NFL history. Piling up records or extending records as Pierre Thomas carries for a gain of 5.
Yeah, I tell you, Pierre Thomas is one of those guys that there's so many guys like him in the league that just get the job done every single week. You know, leading rusher here, second leading receiver. If you were going to name guys on the New Orleans Saints, he'd probably be about the 15th guy you name. And yet it's those kind of gut core guys that make such a difference on this one.
Leads the team in rushing, second in receptions, 2nd and 5, and that is batted and incomplete. Coming in on a safety blitz was Quentin Michael. Been around for a long time, played several years in Philadelphia, 11th year in the NFL.
Pierre Thomas came across, and that was an aerial show on that one. Quentin Michael sold out. Pierre Thomas sold out, and here he comes. He knocks the ball down, and then he does a somersault and lands on his back. But when you're playing for a division title, that's what you do. Everybody's playing as hard as they can.
Saints with the 3rd and 5. And Breeze finds the open man again for a first down. This time it is Kenny Stills, the rookie from Oklahoma, making the grab.
Kenny Stills showing some quickness on the outside too. That was a quick release. They tried to jam him hard off the ball, and he made the corner completely miss, and that's what made the route up here at the top. Just a complete swing and a miss as they tried to jam him. Melvin White couldn't get him.
Tim Lolito comes in as an extra offensive lineman. Lines up on the left side. Breeze stepping up. Hit as he throws. Caught. Marcus Colston to the 12. Tackled by Kuechly.
I just don't think Drew Brees gets enough credit for how athletic he is inside the pocket. Watch how decisively he steps up here. He knows where that throwing lane is, gets his feet set, and fires a bullet across there to Colston. I don't know how he sees everything the way that he does. 6 feet tall, always sort of craning that neck as he throws the ball, but very rarely lets an open guy go by.
23 of 29 is Breeze tonight for 234. 6 minutes left in the 3rd. Blitz coming again. They run it to the outside, to the right side, and gain of only a couple before about 4 or 5 Panthers take care of Pierre Thomas.
Well, Ron Rivera really wanted to see this turn into a game in which they hit Drew Brees early in the game. Really felt like if you got some early hits on him, it had an impact. But so far tonight, they just have not been able to do it. They've tried. They brought pressure, brought Captain Munnerlyn on a slot blitz that time. But Drew Brees talks about that clock in his head and the knowledge of how long he has to throw the ball and the impact it has when he doesn't take sacks on his offensive line. Builds their confidence.
Breeze caught, and it's a touchdown for Colston. Marcus Colston into the end zone again. His 3rd touchdown catch of the night.
Well, let's see if maybe a knee was down or anything. That's always our first check. Contact made, ball extended. Couldn't quite tell from that one.
Review comes from upstairs here.
He went down, but I think the ball, that's close.
Previous play is under further review.
Yeah, Cole, Walt Anderson is going to take a further look at this. At worst, it's 1st and goal from the 2-inch line. We'll show you an angle shortly in which it looks like Colston comes up a couple of inches shy. So he scored twice tonight, but won't get the hat trick here because you'll see his knee go down right there. The ball is right there, a couple of inches shy of the goal line, and so I'm sure that Walt Anderson's going to tell us that.
The receiver's right knee was on the ground and the ball was at the half-yard line. It'll be 1st and goal, New Orleans, from the 1/2.
So take away a touchdown pass from Breeze and a touchdown reception from Colston and make it a 1st and goal.
Well, Marcus Colston, not bad for a 7th-round pick, is he? Seems like every time we come in here, Jimmy Graham on one side, Colston on the other, and play like 2 big power forwards in the middle of the field. You want to try to help on those guys, and you have to give something up somewhere.
Picked him in 06, so he came here with Breeze and Peyton. 7th-round pick out of Hofstra. Robinson is the running back who's carried once tonight. They give it to the up back Collins, and he's going to get stuffed at the 1-yard line.
Well, Jed Collins this year has had a career high 10 carries now, but K'Wan Short inside going to take care of business, going right there. And then Chase Blackburn, remember him, that great play he made in the Super Bowl against Rob Gronkowski, the interception. I'll never forget that one.
Tyree Robinson is the back, but they're going to send a floater to the end zone. That is going to be caught out of bounds by Jimmy Graham. Mike Mitchell staying with him, and it will be 3rd down and goal.
Well, here we go. We get it to 3rd down. Mike Mitchell, he's got a pretty good bear hug on him on the outside, but apparently that's not enough. Of course, Jimmy Graham made the catch. You get anywhere close, he's going to make it. But I have to say, the officials have been pretty consistent in this game. It's been physical. They've been pushing. They've been shoving, but they have called it consistently, letting a lot of that stuff go.
Mark Ingram now comes in as the tailback. Fake it to him. Breeze rolling, pressured, and incomplete. So does Peyton want to go for the total kill shot here or kick the field goal? It's 4th down and goal from the 1.
Boy, Thomas Davis made sure that touchdown didn't happen. See the guy coming out in the flat here, and watch Thomas Davis as he gets out here. Said, "Are you looking for the ball? Bad idea." Nothing left.
And at least for the moment, they send out the field goal unit and opt for 3, which would make it an 18-point game.
Go figure.
Yeah, this is shorter than what an extra point would be. It's a 19-yard field goal attempt. And they settle for 3, but a good stand there at the end for Carolina. At least they saved 4 points, 24-6. Get anything you wanted in this town. Cajun, Creole, you name it. They've got it. And Morstead's kicking. This is Ginnu's going to run it out from about 8 yards back, and why not? The way their offense is going in this one, you might as well try to run one back a long way. Cam Newton. A lot of talk about Cam coming into this season. The body language wasn't very good. You saw all those interviews with him where he looked so downcast and downtrodden. And during the offseason, Jerry Richardson, who's the founder of this team, is a good pal of Jerry West, and there's Jerry in the middle, and I love the way we say LA Lakers guard, because maybe you were born too late, but one of the greatest players in the history of the NBA. And they brought Jerry West into camp. There's Jerry Richardson, and he and Cam Newton established a really great relationship. And Cam was talking about this the other day as Newton on 1st down throws, and it's a short gain to the 31. But Newton said, you know, I knew who he was. He's the logo of the NBA, and he's a guy who's just a phone call away.
I thought that was his best line. He said, couldn't believe I was talking to the logo. Everybody knows exactly what that is. Jerry West, there's sort of the pose, and you see the logo just like it. And one of the great players in history. Boy, I love watching that Laker team.
And they were able to share a lot. Jerry going to training camp, and he and Newton stay in contact, and Cam was just effusive in talking about Zeke from Cabin Creek the other day. Olsen makes the catch over the middle of the game of about 7, 1st down at the 41.
You know, but he was saying how Jerry was such a passionate competitor, and even the MVP when they lost the finals one time. But he said the difference is he had to learn how to control those emotions and not take it out on his teammates. And Cam said that's a good point.
Inside handoff now goes to D'Angelo Williams. He takes it up to the 44-yard line.
Because so many times you'd see Cam Newton, he'd sort of be pouting over there on the sideline or whatever. And I think the transition now is that Cam Newton, instead of kind of looking like this, if he's upset, he goes and talks to one of his teammates, or he talks to one of his coaches, and he doesn't just sit and stew. And it's really been good for the chemistry of this football team.
Well, he's helped guide them along with that great defense to an 8-game winning streak. But right now, big uphill battle down by 18. Cam's going to air it out deep downfield and incomplete.
That was their shot. They had Greg Olsen with a chance. The safety split wide. Curtis Lofton was about a step behind Greg Olsen. They had a chance. It would have taken a great throw, but that's open in the National Football League.
Crowd always rising on 3rd down when their defense is on the field. And of course, Ryan and Peyton really want him to get into it. And they do. Clock at 0 as they get the snap away. And Newton's going to get sacked at the 32. Junior Galette chased him down from behind. Second sack for Junior.
Well, tomorrow you're going to read about Jordan Gross giving up the sack, but once again now Cam Newton has got to do his guys a favor and step up. The problem was there was a blitz up the middle, so that pocket got pushed back into his face, so he felt like he had to scramble out. Good blitz call that time by Rob Ryan.
Nortman's kick. A high and relatively shallow kick, and then it takes a Saints bounce and gets down to the 38-yard line. 24-6 after a 28-yard punt. Drew Brees, whose name adorns the record book in so many categories. We've talked about him tonight and some of the stuff he's done. Well, he's just 43 yards shy of 50,000 passing yards. And the fewest games to 50,000. Peyton would be number 1, Dan Marino, Favre, and Elway. So you look at Brees and just another opportunity for him to set a mark. I think he might get it. What do you think?
I think he might get it on this drive the way he's going, but talking about records, I always say, well, who's on the list? And I'll tell you how good the record is. That list was pretty good.
I'd say 43 yards to 50,000 for him. And they got action on both sides of the line.
And Jimmy Graham jumped.
Ball start, number 80, offense. 5-yard penalty, still first down.
Jimmy Graham, the pilot. How do you think the New Orleans Saints feel about him as a stunt pilot doing flips in the air? I couldn't believe it when I saw the tape of that.
Yeah, we've got some video rolling down the line here for you. No, thank you. 1st and 15 at the 33. And Brees to the outside, and that's caught by Marcus Colston. Big night for him. 2 touchdowns and a near third. Here it is.
Yeah, how'd you like to be a friend of Jimmy Graham, or maybe he's out on a date and say, hey, I'm a pilot. You want to go for a ride? Yeah, that'd be great. Go up in this little airplane here, and yeah, boy, it's beautiful flying around, and all of a sudden he does a 360 on you right around there. Interesting guy. What a remarkable life he's led.
2nd and 7. Brees going deep, and there's incidental contact that time. No flag. Drayton Florence and Robert Meacham is the matchup. It'll be 3rd down and 7.
Yeah, taking their shot against the former teammate down there, Drayton Florence, and why not? But you really haven't seen that. They've given up the long ball so far in this one, and really the defensively now, Carolina seems like they're settling down a little bit. The problem is their offense just can't get out of their own way.
2 field goals in the first quarter and nothing since for the Panthers.
It was interesting. It was Rivera telling us that I can't kick field goals and win, and yet, sort of 3 different times at least settled for attempts.
3rd and 7. Brees hit as he throws. Blitz was coming. Got hit from behind. Captain Munnerlyn coming in from the corner, and it's 4th down.
Yeah, they finally got there. This is about the 5th time they've fired this blitz coming off the edge. And for the first time it gets there. One thing I like about corners and safety blitzes is those guys can run faster, and that shaving a couple of tenths of a second off of that blitz, all of a sudden now you get there on occasion.
Close that gap in a hurry. Morstead to punt. Morstead got contacted. The crowd wanted a flag, but there is none. Again, makes the fair catch at the 24-yard line. A little over a minute to go in the 3rd. Carolina with the ball, but down by 18 in New Orleans. They're trying to set a record. It seems like every week some stadium tries to break a record. Loudest noise, and of course when the Guinness people show up, you think they're going to say you didn't break it?
Well,
next week 8 guys will be belching after dinner in Moscow, and they'll have the record if Guinness shows up. Anyway, that's why you have that noise right now. Newton from the 23, throwing, and the pass is incomplete. Junior Gillette put the pressure on that time.
I used to host Guinness World Record prime time, but I'm not going to say anything. I like that one.
Oh, you used to.
Corey White on the outside here. They're matching their corner against Greg Olson, who's really been about the only receiving threat so far in this one, and they keep trying to do whatever they can to get a big play out of it. You know, you think Rob Ryan, he's going to bring pressure, but the big plays that Seattle got last week, Carolina has just missed.
2nd and 10. Final minute of the quarter. The handoff goes to Mike Tolbert, and we go to Michelle.
Well, Jonathan Stewart is questionable with an injury to his right knee. He limped off the field during Carolina's previous drive. Head trainer Ryan Vermillion was indicating to him not to be worried, that it's not that serious, but he's got ice on it, and he remains on the bench, Al.
All right, thank you, Michelle. It looked bad as you looked at the replay. And it's too bad for Carolina because he'd given them a spark starting the second half with a 16-yard run and a 16-yard reception, and then had to come out of the game. 3rd and 6. And Cam escapes and picks up the first down. And that should take us to the 4th quarter, which will begin with a first down for Carolina. We have played 3 in the Big Easy with the score: the Saints 24, the Panthers 6, and Sunday night football resumes after these messages. And right now, an 18-point Saints lead as we start the final quarter. First down from the 34-yard line. And Newton throws, flag is down. You saw that come in from the offensive backfield as Brandon LaFell makes the catch.
Illegal hands, hands to the face, number 77, offense, 10-yard penalty, first down.
That's the right tackle, Byron Bell.
Yeah, they've been trying to hang in there with this offensive line. Of course, they've had 6 different guards. They've got free agents, Byron Bell and Nate Chandler playing on the right side of this offensive line. It has been a mixed bag all season long for them up front. And I really think, we were talking about it during the break a little bit, that, you know, when Cam Newton runs on a fairly regular basis, it forces the defense to contract a little bit and defend against that. When he's not running, then they just can play it differently.
Tonight he's only run 4 times. And that pass to the outside is incomplete. Again, the intended receiver, Corey White, smacks him as the ball gets there. 2nd and 20.
Well, now I think they're starting to anticipate he may run a little bit. They're going to get a spy right in here. Wrong one, right there, where all he's going to do is basically sit and wait and watch Cam Newton. So if he does take off, at least they've got somebody on him.
Playing the role of the NSA. 2nd and 20. And a ton of time, but he runs out of time. The pass is incomplete. Intended for Steve Smith, and getting in there at the very end was John Jenkins, the rookie out of Georgia.
Whoa, David Hawthorne saw Steve Smith coming across the middle. Watch this shot in here.
Ooh.
I mean, that is what Steve Smith has been up against all night, and it's the reason we barely heard his name.
Steve Smith has caught 4 passes tonight, but for a total of 19 yards. 3rd and 20. And he's going to get sacked by Cam Jordan. Cam Jordan, their #1 pick out of Cal 2 years ago. The son of Steve Jordan, who played several years as a tight end with the Vikings.
Just deep coverage all over the field. The linebackers, because of it was 3rd and whatever, 20-something, they sat back about 20, 25 yards, just nowhere to go with the ball. And the Carolina Panthers let's face it, they're not built to come from behind like this with their passing game. This is an offense that needs to stay on schedule, keep control of the ball, win with their defense, and the Saints defensively are making them look bad.
Jordan and Gillette each with 2 sacks. Nortman's punt collected at the 25 by Sproles. And a 16-yard run back to the 41-yard line. 13:38 left in the fourth. 24-6 Saints. One-yard gain for Pierre Thomas. You know, the NFC South, these two teams tied for the top spot. We mentioned at the outset tonight, it's worth bringing up again here. If the Saints and Panthers defeat each other in 2 weeks, they'll meet in Charlotte. And let's say the Panthers win that game, Saints hold on tonight. And then they wind up with the same record. And if they each go 3-1, it would be a 12-4 mark. It would wind up with the Saints getting the division title and a probable bye, and Carolina winding up as a potential wild card as the pass is incomplete, and a flag though comes in as Captain Munnerlyn and Marcus Colston are the combo on that pass.
Well, it's kind of been how the night's been going, and I agree with Ron Rivera here.
Holding number 41 defense. 5-yard penalty from the previous spot. First down.
We'll see the details, see if he grabbed him. Sometimes you get a little jersey pull at the top of the screen. He had an arm, but really Colston was jamming it in his chest, so you could have called that either way. That's something that has not been called tonight. And if you're going to call it one way all night, you should call it that way all night. But this secondary is sort of a bunch of guys that have been pieced together. A lot of them been cut, and teams didn't want them, and now here they are.
And Breeze. That pass is incomplete.
Well, just to go through a few of them, Drayton Florence was cut. Mike Mitchell basically didn't start despite being a second-round pick in Oakland. Brought him in here. Quentin Michael cut by the Rams. Melvin White undrafted. Robert Lester undrafted. Captain Munnerlyn, probably the best they have back there, a 7th rounder. So this is a group of guys that really take great pride in overcoming what's happened to them in the National Football League. And for the most part this season, they've done really, really well.
One guy they missed back there is Charles Godfrey, who's on injured reserve. Hurt early in the season as Graham was taken down. And just to go back to the importance of this game, and if you follow the league, you know that there's a gigantic difference between the 2 seed and the 5 seed as Graham gets up very slowly, hit by Munnerlyn. If you're the 2 seed, you get a bye, you get a home game, and then if the 1 seed wins, you go to them. If they don't, then you host the championship game. If you're the 5 seed, in all likelihood, you're going to play 3 road games. That pass was called incomplete, so it's 3rd down and 10.
And we understand the significance of that. If you're the New Orleans Saints, you would get at least 1 home game as a number 2 seed and then take your chances in the championship game.
And Breeze throws, and that's caught by Colston at the 34-yard line. So a huge night for Marcus Colston. That's a gain of 18. He's now caught 9 for 125.
You know, these two just have a great feel for each other. They really do. And Drew Brees, so confident in how he delivers the ball. Big body guys. You've got Colston, you've got Jimmy Graham, and he knows that they're going to make that catch for him. That back shoulder throw is something that really has sort of revolutionized the passing game in the NFL.
Ready. You ready, my son?
Thomas. Nothing doing.
How about Marcus Colston on this night, though, Al? He has just been simply sensational. Had a few injuries had to deal with this year, but it's fun to watch him play. You sort of think of maybe Johnny Unitas and Raymond Berry, 2 guys that they just know what the other one is going to do. Drew Brees just has incredible confidence that if he gets it close to Marcus Colston, he's going to make the play. And then down in the red zone, throw it up in the air and let him get vertical and score some touchdowns for you.
2nd and 10. Dump off to Thomas. He gets written down by Kuechly. Kind of out of pattern, too, here, Chris, for the Saints. We're talking about the fact only a third of Breeze's passes this year have gone to wide receivers. But tonight, Colston's caught 9, Moore's caught 3. Stills has caught a couple. So utilizing his wideouts more than he has been.
Yeah, he's spreading it around, and now only 14 yards away from 50,000 for the career. That is one heck of a landmark, and he's going to join a pretty exclusive club and be the fastest one to get there.
3rd down and 6. Climb in the pocket, and there it is. He's over 50,000 to the 9-yard line. Goes Jimmy Graham, 1st and goal.
Well, first and foremost, congratulations, Drew Brees. I mean, you want to set a Guinness World Record for most noise? They should flash that up on the screen, because this guy, since coming to New Orleans, you think of all the things, Hurricane Katrina and how this city was just ravaged, this dome itself just ravaged. And this guy came in here along with Sean Payton and has brought energy and just love of the New Orleans Saints to this town. He has been fantastic.
From the 8, Graham reaching and in there. Touchdown. Ball came out, but after Graham had already put 6 points up on the board.
Very late call by the official at the bottom. I thought they were going to let him pick that fumble up. I didn't think there was any question, though. He got across the goal line. Let's take a look. One-on-one on the outside with a corner. The ball clearly over the line. But how many tight ends do you know can flank out and out quick a cornerback? There just aren't that many that have ever played in the National Football League.
They look upstairs. It'll be confirmed in just a second. Yeah, you're right. Even though he doesn't throw to wide receivers as we talk about it, and have throughout the game, with Graham, it's like he's a tight end, but he might as well be a WR.
You know, and I'll tell you this now, Jimmy Graham has 14 touchdowns on the year. He's closing in on Gronkowski's record of 17.
Drew Brees, here's the pass that put him over 50,000, and it's 31-6. Hard by the Mississippi. New Orleans on this Sunday night. And Ted Ginn Jr. from the goal line. Down the sideline he goes. Decent run back, but 9:46 remaining in the 4th. Saints ahead comfortably, 31-6. All right, there's the ever-changing playoff picture. Seattle won today. They clinched the playoff berth. The Saints lead the division. I'm sorry, Seattle lost, but they clinched the playoff berth. Philly, for the moment, leads in the East, but only because they played one more game than Dallas. If Dallas wins the Monday nighter tomorrow against Chicago, they would be the division leader. And Carolina and San Francisco at the moment in the wild card spots, as the pass is caught by D'Angelo Williams, and he's close to a first down before he's run out of bounds.
Well, Rob Ryan, you have to give him some credit, don't you? He knew his defense didn't play well last week in Seattle. He said, it's not the first time I had my butt kicked. Got our butt kicked up with, with the Jets, too. But Curtis Lofton was saying, he just came in here. He had just been fired. We had just been humiliated as a team with our record-settingly poor defense last year. We were a perfect match. And he just kept emphasizing to be confident and to try to make plays. Don't worry about mistakes. And it really has just been contagious for us.
And that's caught by Brandon LaFell for a first down at the 40-yard line. Rob has been around, coached under Belichick in New England, went to Oakland as the defensive coordinator, Cleveland, Dallas, and now here as Newton surveys, has time, finds the open man. That's Smith for his biggest gain of the night. Smith's largest gain of the evening to the 25-yard line.
When Cam Newton gets some time, he does some good things too. That time he really wanted to throw it to the right, wasn't there, had time to check it back to his left, and a little Drew Brees impersonation there.
Gain of 13 on that play. The ball at the 26-yard line as Newton gets hit as he throws, and the pass is out of bounds. And Greg Olsen gets ridden out by Harper at the end of the play.
Here we go. We'll go back a play and watch Cam Newton. Here he's over there looking right, and he's really been working hard trying to get through progressions and figure out all that stuff. Everything can't be a read option pass, especially in this situation. So just in his third year, he's growing and getting better all the time. And we've got a Rob Ryan in stereo now.
With the card and the whole thing.
Look at the happy face
the
on
smiley.
the back.
I love it. All-out blitz is a smiley face, isn't it? 2nd and 10, and that's caught by Mike Tolbert, and he has room to roam and takes it inside the 10, and a flag is down.
Usually a hold on the outside by a wide receiver. Dominic Hickson was that side.
Well, Newton's all the way back at the 35-yard line, so he's anticipating
After the completion and during the run, holding number 87 offense, 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. It'll still be 2nd down.
Hickson on the outside. He's working. You got to give him credit. I think the old veteran Keenan Lewis drew that call. I don't know if that was that much holding or just something to kill Cam's stats.
Hickson, former Giant, playing sparingly this season. Second and 9. Short pass over the middle. Olsen, 4 yards short of the first down, tackle there by Hawthorne.
Hawthorne there, Kenny Vaccaro there, and I think this Kenny Vaccaro is going to be a superstar safety. They have really put him in some tough situations now because of their lack of corners and forced him to play man coverage, a lot of slot corner responsibility for him, and I haven't seen anything he can't do yet. Big hitter, going to be a star.
3rd and 3. Newton flushed out. Going to run with it. And he's going to take the ball to the 4-yard line and set up a first down and goal. I mentioned before that when he scrambles, he's averaged over 10 yards per rush. That's good for 15.
Cameron Jordan tried to take an inside release there, and nice job by Cam recognizing it. But again, on 3rd down, that's what we saw out of RG3 last year. That's what we saw out of Russell Wilson. Key 3rd down conversions for a team in the top of time of possession is really what this team's been all about this year. Just haven't done it since the first quarter tonight.
On 1st and goal, pass is incomplete at the goal line, intended for Steve Smith, and it's Vaccaro blanketing him. 2nd down and goal.
Just aren't many safeties in the NFL that are asked to play one-on-one coverage right here against the best receiver the other team has. You know, you can say whatever you want. In my mind, and I've played in this position a lot, the slot receiver has it the easiest because he has so many different options. He can go in, he can go out. So the slot corner is the toughest defensive position, and Kenny Vaccaro does a nice job out there.
And he's really not even a corner, he's a safety.
Exactly.
Yep. 2nd and goal. And Newton was going to call for a timeout, and he does get it. He turned his back for a fleeting second on Junior Gillette, and I thought he was going to get buried, but Gillette heard the whistle. Saints defense last year, of course, it was a messy year. Peyton was suspended. Joe Vitt was suspended, and he became the coach when his suspension was over. And rough time for Steve Spagnuolo coming in here. Place was a mess.
Well, you know, I thought that Sean Payton made a great point in talking about Rob Ryan being a perfect match for what he does on offense, because they want to be wide open and multiple and take chances. And now on defense, they're wide open and multiple and take a lot of chances. And from an offensive standpoint, when you have a high-flying offense with Drew Brees, the last thing you want is to go sit on the bench for 5 or 6 minutes. So defensively, you take some chances, you blitz. If you get hit with a long one over the top, so be it, because you know that Drew Brees is going to come right back down the field and pick it up. But this is not the first time this season we've seen Rob Ryan's defense really dominate a key football game. They were all over the Dallas Cowboys.
Well, odd to note. I mean, he's had a lot of success as Rob, but he's been with some teams that haven't fared very well, obviously. And this year, the first time he's been the defensive coordinator of a team with a winning record. And that pass is incomplete. Had no chance. Going too deep to begin with. Again covered by Lewis. It'll be 3rd and goal.
I tell you, Keenan Lewis has had a big, big game tonight. He came over. He was a New Orleans kid and was in Pittsburgh and just wanted to come home. He really was intent the whole time to come here as a free agent. Got his opportunity, and what a difference he's made. He's kind of become as close as they have to a shutdown corner on the outside. But you need that guy that can take away another team's #1 receiver, and he's had a big night tonight. Got Steve Smith out there right now.
3rd down and goal. And Newton's going to go down. And they had a hammerlock on Smith as he came across the middle. Junior Gillette picks up his 3rd sack, and that's the 5th sack for the Saints tonight.
Looked like man coverage, end up a zone. Watch Kenny Vaccaro right here as Steve Smith comes across. He gets clotheslined by Vaccaro and had to take an 8 count on that one. Fantastic job on the back end of this defense tonight for the Saints.
Fourth and goal from the 17. And Newton's going to take a timeout with 5:22 left. Fourth year for Junior Gillette. Didn't have a sack in his first year, then 4.5, then 5, and he has 3 tonight to give him 9 for the season.
I'm going to tell you what, Rob Ryan could not have asked for a better guy than Junior Gillette. He is an athletic playmaker, but tonight I think it's been the interior pressure that's forced Cam Newton back, and those outside pass rushers have just torn it up. Jordan with 2 sacks as well, so 5 between them.
All 5 sacks have come on 3rd down. Here's a 4th down play. 3-man rush. And Newton fires into the end zone, and that'll be caught. Steve Smith is able to make the catch despite getting bracketed, and finally Carolina gets into the end zone.
Well, Keenan Lewis was pretty much pitching a shutout all night long, but we've seen Steve Smith just fist fight his way to touchdowns before. Watch this. Just a little extension of the arms and come back and fight for the ball. But you have to say tonight, it has been at least a decision for Keenan Lewis.
17 yards on a 4th and goal, and
he hates it.
Yeah, Rob.
He hates it.
He's pitching a touchdown shutout.
Yep, just there you go.
Smith, as he normally does, he finds a Carolina fan, which is a lot easier to do in Charlotte.
Found one with the 89 jersey, didn't he?
Right. And his man for the souvenir. The extra point is good by Graham Gano. 5:15 remaining in regulation. 31-13. Onside kick attempt here, and that's fielded after it goes 10 yards by Benjamin Watson. So the good hands guys are out there. Well, the Panthers special teams coordinator Richard Rodgers, and you go back to one of the most memorable plays in the history of football, Cal Stanford, November of 1982. Ron Rivera played on that Cal team, and there's Rodgers. He's going to handle the ball twice. Of course, the very famous end of game run back with Cal winning, and forget about the 9 penalties that never got called that would ruin a good story, right? And into the band they go. And the Golden Bears win it. And Rogers handles the ball twice, and Rivera's on that team. And nobody will ever forget that one.
Looked like an option quarterback. That second one came down the line, got a little rugby line going. It's pretty good.
I'll tell you something else. We'll get to her after the play. There was somebody who was in the stands that day. A Cal Bear.
I wonder who that was.
Ingram. Who was in the stands that day? Who that was in the stands that day, Michelle?
Me dat. I was just a 17-year-old high school senior looking at Cal and Stanford, and I saw that. I talked to Rogers tonight on the field, and we kind of connected, and he said, all I told everyone, he was the special teams captain, he said, all I told the guys was keep the ball alive, and he said, I had no idea I'd touch it twice. He remembers it was such fondness and said it led to a lot of great things, including his job with the Panthers.
Yeah, it's a story for a lifetime. As Breeze is going to get taken down, and the ball is out, and they're going to recover. The Saints are. Quentin Michael was able to extract it, but it looks like Collins got there to recover it at the 47.
Well, Jim Johnson, the old Eagles coordinator, would be proud of this one. He comes right around and just gets his hand on the ball. Almost all pass rushers now, they're not even trying to hit the quarterback anymore. They're just going for that throwing arm, because you get credit for the sack anyway, and then you get the forced fumble, and they all love the trifecta when they get the recovery as well, almost for Quentin Michael.
3rd down and 19.
Oh, it smells like pressure.
Smells like a whistle.
There's Darren Sproles, about 5'6" of him, going against Greg Hardy at about 290.
Yep, 6'4" and 290.
And now he's going to hide behind his offensive line.
Delay of game, offense, 5-yard penalty, still 3rd down.
Here we go. Wonder what kind of odds we get in Vegas on this fight. There we go. One little shot.
You'd have a bunch of commissioners getting fired if they ever let it transpire.
Darren Sproles, the leading rusher in this game, though. 1 carry for 38 yards.
Only a 100-pound differential.
Have to work the jab.
3rd and 24. Breeze sets it down underneath. Pierre Thomas is going to get tackled at midfield.
Yeah, you played that Cal Stanford play, and we saw one of those today. The Pittsburgh Steelers, we thought were going to win the game, and just barely stepped out of bounds. That would have been a miraculous comeback for the Steelers, but not to be.
Well, ever since that Cal Stanford game, I mean, everybody in a situation like that pretty much tries the same thing, just keep the ball alive.
Wasn't it the Saints that did that in Carolina, and they made it work and went down the field, and they missed the extra point to tie the game?
Yep. We talked about all the touchdowns that were scored today. Another record that was set today. Matt Prater on a very cold day, 64-yard attempt coming here against the Tennessee Titans. And there is a new NFL record, which was first established at 63 yards in this city outdoors at Old Tulane Stadium by Tom Dempsey. So Prater does it at altitude, and Dempsey did it 5 feet below sea level.
Who beat that record?
Right.
You know, but it's the only sad part to me about the fact that that record got broken, and you knew it would eventually here, but I love that footage of Tom Dempsey kicking that field goal. I just, who was it, Alex Karras, that just kind of rolled over his back, and it was fantastic.
End the game to beat Detroit. And Morstead's punt rolls out of bounds with less than 3 minutes to play in the 4th. So the Carolina Panthers are going to go home, take on the Jets next week, then the Saints, and close at Atlanta. Take a look at what the Saints have done tonight. Panthers come in averaging, giving up 13 a game. They've given up 31 yards per game, 374 tonight. Saints converting 58% on third down and 4 out of 5 in the red zone for touchdowns.
Yeah, and I really thought the game was decided early when Carolina put together those 2 opening drives and had to settle for field goals. And then all of a sudden the Saints do what they always do when we come in here, which is just blow the doors off by the time they get that offense rolling.
Yeah, there was a big third down conversion to Marcus Colston. That pass caught by Ginn. Then Sproles with a big run. Sproles had a 38-yard run, which led to that touchdown. So here's Carolina, as you say, Chris, dominating, but it results in 2 field goals that lead 6-0. The next thing you know, it's 7-6 New Orleans, and away they went. 2nd and 8. And D'Angelo Williams up to the 15-yard line.
Tell you, there's some guys on this Saints defense that have made a difference. You know, one guy I haven't talked much about is Paris Harrelson. He came over when Will Smith got hurt, but watching him this past week, he is a man. I mean, he just sits on the edge of that defense, and you want to try and run off tackle, good luck. He just takes people and crams them right back into the backfield and brings a little of that 49er edge over here to this defense.
He does. 2 minutes to go in the Superdome. The Saints 31 and the Panthers 13. Kenny Vaccaro.
Good young safety. We have seen him so many times tonight, and I don't know that any safety in the game right now is being asked to do more than Rob Ryan is asking of Kenny Vaccaro. Started the season off with a big play that helped him win the first game and just been physical, gets involved in the run game, and you can see he doesn't want to hear it whenever the receiver complains about getting knocked on their backside. Good player.
3rd down and 5. 2 minutes to play. Almost a 6th sack. And instead it's Newton getting up to the 16-yard line.
Okay, I like seeing Cam Newton run the ball, but not now.
Yeah.
You know, I think there comes a point in time. He's had a fantastic year. You know, just like New Orleans last week, they had a bad night. Carolina had a bad night. You know, just like we saw the Saints have, but time to get him off the field now. Still a lot of stuff ahead for this Carolina team.
This winning streak will end at 8, or a half a season's worth. Be their first loss since the 6th night or day of October when they lost at Arizona. And out of bounds at the 30-yard line. Take a look at this on the Sean Payton, Drew Brees front since '06 when they got together. Regular season record is really good on the road, but when you get to the playoffs, 4-0 here and 0-3 on the road, including that stunning defeat at Seattle when Seattle barely got into the playoffs 3 years ago. Then knocked them off in that wild game where Marshawn Lynch created an earthquake.
Yeah. But, you know, you just can't give Sean Payton enough credit. I mean, we saw what the Saints were a year ago without him. You watch him in practice. We have the pleasure going out there and watching practice, and he is totally in control of everything they do. He designs all those plays that were getting people wide open in the red zone against one of the best red zone teams in the National Football League. And somehow he and Drew Brees seem to be almost the same guy. You know, when you're talking to both of them, they're both thinking the same thing. And Brees even says that. He said, sometimes I'm thinking of a play, and sure enough, that's the play that he calls. And it looks like it when they're playing games like this.
That kneel down will end it. Don't have to run another play. The New Orleans Saints will go to 10-3, and Ron Rivera's team will go to 9-4. And that puts the Saints very much in the driver's seat in terms of winning this division, because even if Carolina were to beat them in 2 weeks and they wind up with the same record, the Saints are going to win the tiebreaker.